hero's just someone who doesn't give up. Your dad said that. He was right. Now it's your turn. Go be a hero, Miles.
Okay, let's do this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Comic Blast podcast. Keenan and I are very excited. It's back to the original dynamic duo today. But how you doing, Keenan?
Great. This is I don't think this is a stretch, but this is the best day of the year so far for me.
Oh yeah, at least until holiday 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a really bad year overall, but this is like the one. I think this might be the turning point for the year so far.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I needed this happiness
Yeah.
in my life, like everybody did.
Dude, I'm really giddy. I feel like it's, you know, that feeling that you get before Christmas. Like it's like Christmas morning, but you can't go look at your presents yet. You're just really excited. That's how I feel right now.
I mean, this all makes sense coming from possibly the biggest Spider-Man PS4 fan known to man, which is you.
I won't say I'm like the biggest one, but I'm definitely like,
Top
I'm
100.
high up in the ranks of the Spider-Man PS4 Reddit page right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You're like,
Yeah.
I mean, with all of your collectibles enough, and everything like that. Yeah, it's quite a bit. If you couldn't tell by the title already, we are talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales, which was officially announced yesterday. Thank God that I pushed back the episode because I randomly just had a thought. I was like, at the time we're recording this on a Friday, it should be uploaded today too. But I was like, it got to Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was like, you know, there's that PlayStation thing tomorrow. What if they announce something for Spider-Man or even show like a trailer or something?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh yeah, that's a good point. All right, we'll put it off. And I'm so glad we did because I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yep.
But before we get into it, as you notice, Cole is not here with us on this episode. He originally was until about 3 hours ago when something came up that he has had some problems within his family and with some of his family members, and so he is having to take care of that. So please send Cole some love at the Cosmic Lotus on Twitter. He could really use it right now, and we're pretty bummed that he couldn't be here, but this was just one that the show had to go on, and considering the resume of Spider-Man backgrounds that we have, especially with the PS4 franchise, I think it's safe to say we'll have plenty to talk about specifically on this one topic. The first thing I want to mention is you can follow us at comicblast_ on both Twitter and Instagram. Keenan has been posting a lot on there and doing a great job, so go follow us on there. You can follow me at Shradester8 on both Twitter and Instagram. I'm not on Instagram right now, so if you DM me or tag me in anything, I'm not going to see it for a while. I think I'm going to get back on Instagram in about a month, a little over a month or something like that. I've just been kind of enjoying not being on that. And then you can follow Keenan at Keenan Creates on also both Twitter and Instagram. We also have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/comicblast. And we have a few patrons over there. The main one that we have is our sponsor, Jess. You can find her at twitch.tv/female and fatal. She is rising quickly within the Twitch ranks and doing a great job. So go send her some love over there as well, because she is a great friend and supporter of us. And then there is also Sam and Joseph, who have been two longtime patrons of ours, and we we are very thankful for them. And then also we have Jake, who has only been a patron for about a couple weeks, and he is a good buddy of mine, and I am very thankful for his support as well. So if you're interested in supporting us, obviously it's not required, but we would really appreciate it at patreon.com/comicblast, and there are some are a tier of rewards on there, which we're trying to get better about fulfilling. So if you really love the show and want to help support us, we would really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything else I have to say other than let's talk about this thing.
God.
So I kind of want to explain like just because it's just so fun to do this.
Yes.
Setting the stage of like when this happened, right? So yesterday the live stream happened for the PlayStation 5 reveal event, and this is where they showed a whole bunch of games. This is basically like the replacement for E3 because since E3 was canceled. And I realized I had work from 2 to 7 yesterday, and the stream was at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm like, okay, I'll figure out some way to watch this. And so the shift that I do is kind of laid back, and I can kind of take some breaks. So I did like a bunch of work for the first 2 hours, and then I got to the stream, and I was like, okay, like I'm going to – and I had to work some while still watching it too. Yeah. So – I start watching it, and I'm like, okay, cool. First thing they show off, Grand Theft Auto 5 coming to the next-gen consoles. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Then the CEO of, like, PlayStation comes up and starts talking. And then you see PlayStation Studios, which I guess is, like, the new trademark for, like, a PlayStation exclusive game, right?
Really looks cool, that little logo thing.
Oh, yeah, it is really, really cool. I dig it. And so then it just opens up, and I just see this electricity, like this guy, like a hand on a wall with electricity, and I was like, Miles? Like that's just the first thing that I thought. I was like, could this be like electric powers for Miles? And I was like, maybe it's like Infamous or something. I'm not gonna get my hopes up. Yeah. And then as soon as I hear Peter's voice, like the first word, because Yuri Lowenthal, greatest Peter Parker voice, in my opinion. As soon as I hear it, I go, oh my God! I was
Something's happening.
So I'm like, they are opening up with something big, and it slowly goes up, and you see the suit just start dissipating, like, and the skin, like it's a dark skin tone, and I'm like, pretty sure that's Miles. And then you see like the corner of the mask and everything, and he's like, go be a hero, Miles. And then it just cuts into this montage with this awesome song by Jaden and Kid Cudi, which I've been listening to like nonstop because it's just so hype. And you see him just swinging around, invisibility, electricity, like his full powers and everything. There's snow in New York City. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, this is so awesome. And then it gets to the end title cards, and it's like, it's got this awesome beat, and it's got his logo and everything. It said Spider-Man, Miles Morales. And I was like, whoa, was not expecting like that to be like the full, you know.
Yeah.
Because at the time when I was watching it, I was like, this is the direct sequel, like this is Spider-Man 2,
right?
Which I'll get into a bit, and as to why it's kind of not. It is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And then it said Holiday 2020, and I was like, what? I'm like, that soon?
Yeah.
Like I was completely blown away by how, like, I was like, this year. Yeah. That's crazy. Like,
that's
I was like,
the best part,
because I didn't think we were getting another Spider-Man game until at least like 2022. You know?
Yeah.
And so then immediately I get on I text you. I'm like, dude, Spider-Man Miles Morales this year, holiday 2020. And you're like, what? So like set the stage of like what you were doing.
This is
like,
what I was doing. So I was also at work. I don't have really much downtime, but I just happened to be going to the bathroom at that point in time. Yeah. And then you text me and you said Spider-Man Miles Morales. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, I knew he was coming in the next game. Like, I knew that. I was like, no big deal. And then you said this year, and I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, there's going to be a DLC for, like, Miles Morales? I was like, that's awesome. And then you're like, no, it's a full game. And I'm like, hold on. So, like, I ended up, like, what turned into, like, a minute and a half bathroom break turned into, like, a 15-minute bathroom break at work. Because I was like, I have to go on Twitter because that's where I get my information for everything right away. I see like the screenshots and stuff. There wasn't like a trailer out just yet because it was so new. But I was like, holy crap. I'm like, first of all, I was like shocked because I thought that Miles Morales was definitely going to be in the sequel to Spider-Man PS4. I never thought it would be this close to a standalone game. I thought it'd be after the next Spider-Man game. Which I guess just shows that Insomniac's been working on this for years already, and everybody somehow kept it a secret. But like
crazy.
Yesterday morning before the live stream, there was a lot of reports coming out that said that the sequel to Spider-Man would not be Insomniac's next game. There's another game before it.
I did see some articles about that.
Yeah, and I was interesting. But I was like, it's a different game, Ratchet and Clank. Or whatever.
Ratchet and Clank was because that was the very next game they showed. I was like, okay, Insomniac's coming out with 2 heavy hitters, and I have to imagine they are working on the Spider-Man sequel.
Absolutely. There's a lot of confusion behind that because people are like, oh, this is the sequel.
Yeah. So to clarify, and this is basically the best way I can put it, and I've had to explain this to a lot of people. So initially I thought, okay, this is Spider-Man PS5. You're playing as Miles.
Yeah.
This is the next full-blown sequel. Well, then some articles came out, and some people in the games journalism realm, they were like, no, this is more like a spin-off game. Like it's basically like a standalone game based on Miles. It's not the direct sequel. So, for example, the biggest comparison I can give is to the Uncharted franchise, right? So the Uncharted franchise had 4 main titles. There was Uncharted, Drake's Deception, Drake's Fortune, Among Thieves, Drake's Deception, and then A Thief's End. Well, then Uncharted 4 came out in like April of 2016, and then in August of 2017 they came out with a standalone game called Uncharted Lost Legacy, where you played as one of the other main characters in the Uncharted games, but it wasn't Nathan Drake. And it was its own title, had a full campaign, multiplayer, everything. I think it only sold for like $40, so not $60. But it did only come out a little over a year after that, right?
Yeah.
So that's one example. They also did something very similar with the Infamous games, where there was Infamous 1, there was Infamous 2, Infamous Second Son, and then there was a character in Infamous Second Son that they made a standalone game which was I think it was $30, and it was still in the same free roam space and everything like that. And you played as this other character, and it was called Infamous First Light.
Yeah.
So with that being said, this is something very similar, where I think what we're going to see in this game is it's going to play very similar to PS4, and that's what I'm anticipating, is that I'm like 70% sure this game will also be on PS4.
I think it kind of has to be.
That's the thing, is I don't think you can convince people this early on, people who specifically like me, who bought a PS4 just to play this game, or just to play the Spider-Man game, to go ahead and buy the next console as soon as it comes out for full price to play a standalone Miles Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
On the other side of it, I could see them being like, we want to get more sales. These Spider-Man chumps are going to come buy this.
Yeah.
But I think if it's going to, if this is only 2 years after Spider-Man PS4, I think, and it doesn't look like crazy advanced compared to the graphics in PS4. It still looks really good, and because it's captured on a PS5, they make that very clear that it's running on that. So I think it's kind of going to be a really big, the best way to put it is a really, really big expansion that works on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously, they're going to have to, they're adding new stuff, right? Because you're playing as Miles. It's a full new story. It's not like what is it? The City Never Sleeps.
Oh, yeah.
DLCs. It's not like that. And, he's going to have new powers. I think New York City is going to look different, too.
Definitely.
They're going to have, and the reason they probably made this so quickly is because they're still in the same free roam space, but they changed some things around to make it different, to show that time has changed. We see that snow is everywhere, which is something that I've wanted for a long time, is snow in New York City, which now is kind of becoming a thing, relevant to Miles Morales. Is snow and Miles.
I mean, it got the whole aesthetic is like right for Miles. When you see the neon glow glistening off the snow, it's just like, this is Miles, you know?
Yeah, that shot of him, like he takes his mask off and there's that purple light behind him.
Yeah.
And then there's like a blue light in front of him and there's snow falling. I was like,
heavily inspired by Spider-Verse for sure.
Oh, yeah. But obviously it's so much more cinematic, like, because we're seeing it in that, you know, realistic style. I'm like, it just gave me huge Blade Runner vibes. And I'm like, oh, I love that. So yeah, I'm really curious if this game is going to be on PS4 or not. I'm really hoping it is for my sake, because I'm like, I kind of bought a PS4 Pro to play Spider-Man.
See, I can see both sides of it. I could definitely see the whole let's put it on PS4 as well, because this is a new console. Not everybody's going to be able to like get it day one. Most people that I know who have a PlayStation 4 now got it like a year or two after the initial release. Me being one of those people. I got a year's because I started off with an Xbox One.
Yeah.
I mean, real quickly to get off the topic of Spider-Man, like before this live stream, I was like kind of flip-flopping between like, should I just go ahead and get the Xbox when it releases? Because I'm like, it's going to have Halo. I'm like, that's the game that I'm going to really want to play.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're probably 2 years away from Spider-Man. So I'm like, I have 2 years to figure out getting a PlayStation 5 before then. And then this happened. And I was like, I'm getting a PlayStation 5 this year. I'm like, I'm saving my money and I'm getting a PlayStation 5 this year. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. And it's pretty bizarre that I grew up since the original Xbox all the way to Xbox One. I grew up on Xbox. And this freaking Spider-Man game just changed my heart. Yeah,
completely,
and I'm
like sabotaged the whole thing.
I'm one of those freaking PlayStation fanboys now. But yeah, this game, I mean, in a similar way that PlayStation or Spider-Man PS4 helped really sell a lot of units for PlayStation 4. This game right here is going to do the same thing, which is just smart by Sony, smart by Insomniac. And I mean, I think that this game, I don't think they've been working on this game for 2 years. I think it's been in the works since like before the launch of Spider-Man PS4.
I would say maybe 2 to 3 years, because the development cycle for Spider-Man PS4 was about 4 years, and I don't think it would have taken them as long to make this game.
The foundation for it.
Yeah, exactly. They've got the traversal, they've got the combat, like they have the framework for it, but they're gonna change it around, right? Like we're not gonna play it and be like, oh, this is just a Spider-Man PS4
You're gonna get
retexture.
What I'm really hoping is that you really feel a difference between playing as Peter Parker and playing as Miles Morales, whether it be the traversal or the combat or something like that. And you can even tell, like, granted, like most of this isn't really gameplay; it's like cinematic captures, whether it be cutscenes or whatever. But you can kind of tell by like some of the web swinging, you're like, oh, they kind of enhanced this. It's like there's a little bit differences.
It's very stylistic how he swings and how he fights. I was seeing it and I'm like, yeah, this is Miles swinging, not Peter swinging.
You think? Did you see, dude? Like the one shot, like I think we both can do this. Let's pick up like one shot that really stood out to us or like got you the most hype. I'll start by saying there's that shot, and I think it's like the Manhattan Bridge or something like that, where the bridge is like kind of collapsing, and he grabs somebody, and then he swings. He does this like little spin.
He spins,
shoots
and
his
then
web.
swings. Yeah.
Yes, dude. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is some Sam Raimi type, web swinging action, or like, it just it's like it's very cinematic. It's like a film.
I think so. I don't know. There was a couple of shots, but there's one, like as soon as it opens up, as soon as it transitions from you seeing Miles' face and it goes to black, and he does this huge swing in the air, and there's like the sun while it's snowing. I was like, whoo! And then, oh man, like then it does that bridge shot. I think the coolest thing is, like, I don't know why, but there's a shot of him like walking through the snow with like a parka jacket on. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna get to play as Miles, as Miles too, which is, and he's not gonna be doing these dumb stealth sections now. Like,
yeah, those things are stupid.
He's gonna. I mean, he's going to actually be able to be Spider-Man. And I'm curious where the timeline lines up. I'd imagine it's, you know, we saw at the end, spoilers for Spider-Man PS4 and its DLC. But you see at the end of the first DLC that he starts training Miles to you know, be Spidey. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you've played it a bit more than I have, but that DLC like ends in like November or something, right? Like, do they ever say, like, I know it's like fall time.
It's like literally within weeks of the events of the actual game. So yeah, I think it's like November-ish.
Okay. So this is definitely looks like December, January. And I'm like, wow, Miles, you've gotten a grip on this stuff fast.
Dude, well, like, I mean, it's 2 years, right? I mean, like, do you think it's like 2 actual years between, you know?
I don't think so.
So you think it's like pretty much right after?
I mean, I could see it being like a year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. See, so let's kind of get into the plot of things, right? Like what we've noticed.
Because Peter Parker's not there for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, you hear his voice, and it's very ominous to be kind of like it's something that you would be like he's like reading a letter or like a voicemail, or it's like, now it's your turn, Miles, go be a hero, and you're like, are you dead?
Yeah, no, I think like.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's dead.
What if he's like so if this does take place, I'm trying to think of what did they like hint or tease in this previous game that would lead us to believe like Peter Parker would be gone off somewhere. And the one thing that I can think of is there is a part where Peter says he needs a vacation.
Yeah.
Right around the time that Mary Jane is like, she randomly is like, oh, I'm going to Symkaria. Like, she's like, I'm going to go travel there to cover what's going on there.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and Peter was like, I could kind of use a vacation too.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I can think of where he's like, all right, I'm going to go off with MJ right now. And then it's like, there's Miles alone.
Yeah.
But I think like, you know, the tagline of the whole thing is be yourself. And I think what we're going to end up seeing is like, Miles is probably going to be, early on, he's probably going to spend a lot of time trying to be just like Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Yeah. And that's going to be the message going forward from Peter is like, be you, don't be me.
Yeah.
You know, be your version of Spider-Man.
Which was kind of a message of
Spider-Verse.
Of Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And they tried to make it a message with like the MCU Spider-Man of like, oh, you don't need to be Iron Man, and then he ended up being just like Iron Man. So I mean, we won't get into that though. Like, yeah, I think that's going to be really, really important for this game. I will say, I think I have identified who the main bad guys are for this game, and it took me a lot of investigating. So I was talking with Caboose last night.
Yeah.
And go follow Caboose if you haven't, at Caboose EK. He covers this whole game, and if you want even more like in-depth stuff, go follow him or subscribe to him on YouTube. Good buddy of mine. We were talking last night, and he was like, okay, so who was the person with the purple staff, like the purple like baton thing? He's like in the snow, and there's like this weapon basically forming around, and you're like, okay, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. And it's got this purple glow, and he was like, okay, who could this villain be? And I was like, I don't know like any villains with that color aesthetic. And he was like, well, do you think it may be Wraith, since they set her up in the DLC, that it could be? And I was like, I could see that, you know, if they set it up in a DLC and Wraith was like one of the villains in the game. But I was like, I don't know, like that doesn't look like her fighting style or anything. Like I don't see that happening. The only thing is like because she fights with like a police baton, like, you know, she is a part of the police force, that maybe she would fight with like a police baton style weapon, because Insomniac just likes to do that, as, you know, incorporate realistic aspects into characters' gadgets and fighting styles. So Wraith, maybe. I also told him, I was like, Prowler also has that purple aesthetic, but we see throughout the entire trailer that there's multiple guys. So there's another person that has like this purple metal glove that almost looks like a Spy Kids 3D Game Over glove. And I was like, because it's like he's up in the air, he's invisible, and he's punching with his electric fist at this like woman, I guess, like, or I don't know, it's some person with kind of like a bob cut.
Bob.
And so, and that also has that exact same neon purple look. Yeah. So what I have deduced, I think, is, you know, you and I have both played Spider-Man PS4 quite a bit. And if you remember, Oscorp's entire look is that purple glow. You know, their building has that purple look. If you go to their facilities, it has that exact same neon purple. Yeah. I think this is somehow like these guys are tied to Oscorp. Okay. Which would definitely set up what they also teased at the end of Spider-Man PS4 with like Norman Osborn and Harry. And I don't think they're going to be the main bad guys, but I think they're definitely going to connect how Oscorp is slowly becoming the, you know, coming into the forefront as a major antagonist for the Spider-Man related characters. Sure. So that's what I think. I don't know how or why. Yeah. But I think Oscorp is up to something. I think that you have a really good point. I'd never even thought about the purple, but yeah, their whole building glows purple on the outside. The logo is like purple. Yeah. Freaking, all the restart stations have the little purple icon, like everything like that. So that makes a lot of sense. I think also, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see like an appearance from Prowler, because Insomniac, like if you look at Spider-Man PS4, they fit a lot of villains into that game. Like even in the smallest bits, I mean, like Shocker, there's 2 missions with Shocker. They found a way to like fit in a lot of, you know, different villains. I don't think they're going to go as far as like putting in like a Sinister Six in this, but I think, you know, they'd be wise to like tease little things here and there. So maybe you do get like an Aaron Davis like storyline with Miles or something like that. Yeah, because so like it's interesting because, you know, Miles' dad dies in the main story. Yes. And so it's like, okay, is his uncle, and you know how he gets his powers is a lot different than in the comics. It's like, okay, well, Aaron Davis, you know, brings the spider home. And like basically in his like Prowler backpack, and then it gets to Miles. In the Spider-Verse, it's more like, okay, they go do this graffiti thing, and then the spider just kind of finds him, I guess. It's like an old lab from Oscorp. And then in this, it's like, okay, well, Jefferson Davis, you know, he dies, so how do they connect that with Aaron Davis? I mean, and considering it as a Miles game, I would not doubt that he would pop up in the game in some form. I just think they're also trying to be careful for it to not completely emulate and almost copy Spider-Verse. Yeah. With it being so fresh. I mean, 2018 was like the year of Spider-Man. Yeah. Because we had like Infinity War, then Spider-Verse, and Spider-Man PS4 all within the same year. And Venom. So they definitely probably want to make differences between those interpretations to. But Insomniac does that well. Oh yeah, they like Spider-Man PS4. It's definitely like, it's so weird because you can see like, and I've played this game so many times where like you'll be like, wow, this really reminds me of Amazing Spider-Man, and then you're like, wow, this really reminds me of like the Raimi movies. Like there's little like Brian Intihar is like, he's a Spider-Man fanboy. I mean, he loves the MCU films. You know, he loves all the Raimi stuff. So, you know, he really takes inspiration from all of that for the character. But at the same time, they find a way to make it their own version of Spider-Man and make it like unique. And I think that they can find a way to take storylines that we've seen before. I mean, we saw it with Spider-Man PS4. Like there's storylines there that we've seen before, but they find a way to kind of like make it their own. So I don't know, with like the Aaron Davis thing, they would have to do something different. They already did something different by killing off his dad. Yeah. Instead of his uncle. I don't know. I don't know really. I don't really know where they're gonna go with the story at all, to be honest. It's very much the same thing of when the very first Spider-Man PS4 trailer came out, and we're like, "Whoa, this looks awesome!" Yeah, what's happening? Yeah, I mean, like we didn't really even know that like Otto Octavius was the main villain of the game. Not at all. He wasn't like playing it. You didn't even know he was in the game until you started playing it. Yeah. I remember that was like their big secret. Is like, oh, you're becoming Doc Ock. Insomniac can keep secrets. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, I even remember when Spider-Man PS4 got announced, the rumor was that Sucker Punch was working on a Spider-Man game because, you know, their previous works had included Infamous, and now they're doing Ghost of Tsushima, which comes out in July. And so I'm like, okay, wow, Insomniac, like you managed to keep your original game a secret, and we knew you were making a sequel, but now you've managed to keep your Miles game a secret too.
Man. How?
Like how it didn't get leaked, I
this
won't know.
Close to launch too, you know? It's what are we? We're probably about like 5 months away from 5 months away. I cannot wait. We're like 5 months away from this game, and it just like it brings a smile to my face. Like all day yesterday, I was like, nothing else matters to me this year. I was like, I don't care about The Last of Us. I don't care about The Mandalorian. I was like, I just want this game. Black Widow, I don't care. Like
Eternals, no, well, that's next year, I think.
Yeah, but I'm just like, nothing else mattered to me except for playing this game. I was like, anything else, like, you know, that you see those things where like on Twitter, it's like, keep one, the rest disappear forever or something like that. Like that's it for me. I'm like, I want this game and I don't care about anything else, because you know I'm gonna play it like 30 times.
Oh yeah, but so the thing that I'm like most excited for is being able to play as, you know, and it's kind of crazy. Like I wasn't as excited for this, but the fact that they're making it like, you know, not the direct sequel, but making it this middle balance where it is like a standalone game and you're getting to play as Miles, and it's going to be a great counter to Spider-Man PS4. But I'm really excited to play with his powers specifically, because I'm sure it'll play into his gadgets and stuff, which will be really cool to be like, if he has like gadgets based on his powers and everything. Stealth is going to be stupid easy because he's just invisible. But one thing I'm very intrigued by is alternate suits, because we know there's going to be alternate suits in this game.
That Spider-Verse suit.
And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, if they do a Spider-Verse version, like, ooh,
and the Jordans,
that would be cool, especially with like the Spider-Verse style and everything. Because I mean, they did it with Peter, so which makes so much sense now to be like, okay, well, they did it with Peter, and then you do it with Miles. It would be so cool, dude. This would make it even easier to make a Spider-Man comic, like with using a photo mode. By the way, photo mode I know it'll be in the game too
during the snow with the neon glows.
Dude,
you can recreate so many Spider-Verse things. I saw this one tweet from one of my friends. He said something along the lines. He's like, if you don't put on like the Spider-Verse suit day one of launch and jump off the like highest building playing What's Up Danger, you're doing it wrong. I was like, that's so accurate. I'm like, I cannot wait to do that.
Yeah. I saw someone put "What's Up Danger" over the trailer, and I was like, and I'm a little impartial to the song that they did play, because I was like, ooh, this is like, I love the meaning behind that song too, because I'm like, you and I are big Kid Cudi fans, but it's like he says like, the feeling just don't stop me now, like I'm not worrying about anything because I'm strong enough. Like I was like, oh, like I like that fits with Miles, you know. I was like, oh, that's and I'm going to be honest, in the first Spider-Man game, like, I was not a big fan of Miles. Like, I liked Miles, but, like, I found him to be kind of like this, like, I wanted to see more of Peter, and also just because, like, his parts were kind of annoying, and I was like, like, I don't love you, I didn't love that version of Miles. Now that we're getting a version where he's, like, he's kind of had this glow up, and he's, like, full-fledged, like, you know, Spider-Man, I'm like, all right. I'm on board. Yeah. This is it. And what's really cool is the guy who plays so this is a fun fact for you. The guy who plays Miles, he's played Miles in the current Marvel, like he's playing it in the current Marvel Spider-Man show. Yeah. He did it in Ultimate Alliance 3, but the biggest thing that he played that I did not know and now makes me really sad is that he played Sam in The Last of Us. Yep. Yeah. And I looked it up. I was like, oh no.
when I was playing The Last of Us, I was like, dude, this guy's voice sounds so familiar. Yeah. And then I was like, let me look this up, and I was like, oh my god. I'm like, that's Miles Morales.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there boycotting Shamik Moore. Like people are not.
I saw that.
Yeah, and people are like, get him as Miles and stuff. And I'm like on one hand, you know, if I think Shamik Moore has like said some controversial statements, I'm not sure. Yeah, definitely. But I was like, but also it would just be really weird to hear his voice in Spider-Verse, because it's like it's a very different Miles voice. Oh yeah, like Shamik Moore's voice is a lot deeper. But anyway, One thing that I did notice though is that like they really did not change his suit up at all. Like,
oh, it's
Miles'
like that very
suit.
classic.
Yeah. The only thing that's different is it has like that, like it kind of has like a, like it has like a texture to it, where it's not just like, you know, black with lines and like but it still has kind of like the V shape and that same spider.
The texture of it kind of
so
reminded
cool.
me of like the Far From Home black parts.
Yeah.
It's like got that like rubberized, like weird lines kind of
Yeah.
going through it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I think his mask looks just really cool, but I'm curious though, just to see like, okay, you know, Spider-Man PS4, we got a ton of alternate suits.
Yeah.
And now for this game, I'm like, Miles doesn't have that many alternate suits. Are they going to pull from PS4, or are they going to do completely different ones? I'm curious because like, I don't know. That's probably like a big thing, because, you know, Peter is the most prominent Spider-Man,
right?
And Miles has not had that many suits. I mean, you probably have the Spider-Verse suits.
What
and everything
they can
like that.
do is like, I think that Insomniac's gonna have to do what they did with the same thing that they did with the other Spider-Man game, is that like give them, because like right now it's basically a suit that we've seen before in the comics, very classic Miles Morales suit. They need to come up with like their advanced suit for Miles, like their own design for him. Would be ideal. So you have the classic one, then you'll have their version, and then I mean I can think of like at least 3 different things that they could steal from Spider-Verse.
I was thinking of some stuff from PS4 where, like, you know, they made some original versions of Miles, like, or I mean of Peter's suit. So they did like, there was one in the very first DLC where, it was I don't remember the name of the suit, but it was kind of like a metallic black suit. Yeah. And it has like really narrow eyes. That's one of my favorite suits. The only thing is that the eyes aren't emotable, but that one was really cool. Yeah. They did the Velocity suit, which was like this crazy, like, you know, this one that was designed by Adi Granov, who did he made the Extremis suit for Iron Man, which became one of his like most iconic looks. They could definitely do something like that for Miles. And I'm sure they'll pull a catalog of like other spider people as well. Spider-Ham, just kidding.
Yeah, I think that's like definitely a possibility. I think at the end of the DLC where he's training Miles, you'll probably get like there's one of him in his just like hoodie with the mask on, and he's got like a Midtown shirt on or something like that.
Right.
I mean, there's like, let's be honest, like there's a lot of like filler suits, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like you look at the original game, like there's a lot of suits where I'm like, I would never put this on this character other than maybe a photo, but I'm like, I do not want to watch any cutscenes as, you know, shirtless Spider-Man or in his underwear. Like, I don't want my cutscenes ruined.
I should do a playthrough of that, of just Spider-Man in his underwear.
Dude, it's
like,
have you played like as that? It's the most annoying, especially if you're playing on Ultimate. It's the most annoying suit to play with because you get knocked down as soon as like you get hit once, it knocks you down.
Well, you don't have to have that ability equipped.
Oh, I usually try to keep like whatever ability is.
Normally, I just default to the Web Blossom because that one just is very effective for me. Yeah. I also like using quips because I just think it's funny. And like they kind of get knocked back and they're like, oh.
I've actually never used the quips one.
It's funny.
So
he says some really cool quips. Yeah, there's some pretty funny jokes in there. What else are you hoping to see in this game? Like, other than, because we don't know a whole lot, but like what villains, what characters. I
think like the main thing that I want is like when I look at Spider-Man PS4, it really kind of like reignited my love for Spider-Man in a way that like I kind of was like falling out of love just because it's been a while since I've had like, you know, the MCU movies just wasn't doing it for me. Yeah. And I want that same feeling for Miles in this game. I want to feel like this is about a story about Miles, less about Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to fall in love with this character and his story the way that I fell in love with the last one. And then, like, if you're talking about, like, gameplay and stuff, like I said before, I want the combat to be unique to Miles, whether it be, like, his just fighting style. Obviously, the gadgets that he comes up with. Somebody commented on one of our Instagram posts and was like, do you think Miles will make his suit, or do you think it would be Peter Parker? And I commented back, and I was like, Miles is more than capable in this universe to make his own suit, because he has, like, he's a very intelligent person. You can tell he's very much like Peter Parker, where he's designing gadgets already, hacking devices, things of that nature. So I think that he has the ability to really come up with some cool things on his own. He's very smart, as you, like, if you've played through the DLC, Peter asks him, like, a math question, and he's able to, like, solve it, like, pretty much on the spot.
Right.
So yeah, he's more than capable of, like, designing his own tech and stuff like that. So I just want to see his personality come through, whether it be through his suit, his powers, like his gadgets, everything, So
yeah, I'm hoping this is basically, like, all of the little features that they couldn't add into Spider-Man PS4, because it's going to be pretty much like the 1.5, right? Like, it's not a full sequel, but it's gonna, like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to add on to the game to make it even better,
right?
Whether that be forms of traversal,
definitely,
or the, obviously his powers, which are going to be huge. I'm not sure when we'll get to see more gameplay. I mean, it's about 5 to 6 months out.
Yeah,
but, like, all things considered, that's pretty close.
Very close for just announced. Like, usually you get an announcement for the game, and then, like, 2 years later it comes out, so you have time to, like, build up. This is, if you think about it, like,
which, and I mean, it makes sense because like we said, it is that standalone game. But if it was, that's why I'm like, this is not the full sequel, because there's no way they would have only taken this amount of time on a sequel. Like, I know the sequel is going to be
Peter's story.
I think they're waiting for PS5 to be farther in its cycle, so that, first of all, I think the price will go a little bit down and people will be more willing to buy a PS5 to get the game. But also, they want to take full advantage of the new tech, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying with, like, the PS4 version. I'm like, so there was a tech demo back in the day with the PS5 before they had shown it off or anything.
Yeah.
But they had announced a lot of the specs, and it was like they played PS4 and they said, like, they fast traveled from one end of the city to the other, and, like, the load time was like 17 times faster or something like that. Like, it was like, and it was like, it went boom like that. It was like just immediate. And I'm like, okay, with that kind of tech, I think Insomniac is probably going to want to add Queens and Brooklyn and all of these other, like, surrounding islands. Maybe even find a way to get to the Statue of Liberty, which has, like, never been done in a Spider-Man game before, by the way. Like, I've always wanted to be able to, like, get out to the Statue of Liberty some way, somehow. One feature that I think would be really cool is, it was back in the Amazing Spider-Man video games, or at least the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game that they did, where you do this, like, slingshot move where he, like, spins 2 webs and he pulls himself back and then flies, like, really far. I'm like, that would be really, and you see him do that in the Raimi movies a little bit. Well, not the same thing, but, he like gets 2 webs and shoots himself really far at the Green Goblin. So they're probably going to add more traversal opportunities and things. I think it'd be cool if they had a way where you could, like, if Spider-Man PS4 had, like, a radio station.
Yeah.
Where like, if Miles, because Miles listens to music.
His playlist.
I said Spider-Man PS4, Spider-Man Miles Morales, I guess. And he has, he has his own music that he listens to. Oh
man,
I don't know.
I'm just thinking about, like, John Paisano's, like, score.
Ooh,
and I'm like, please tell me he's coming back to do Miles, because I'm like, we're gonna have a brand new Miles Morales theme to get pumped about. You turn on the PS4, you get the Miles loading, or, like, the title screen or whatever. You got the music playing, and hopefully I hope that they do incorporate, like, a little bit of, like, a hip hop vibe or something like that into his theme.
I totally agree. Yeah, I didn't even think about the score. Oh, that's gonna be really, really good.
I mean, like, the Spider-Man PS4 score was my #1 played album of 2019 on Spotify. So I can't even imagine. Like, God, I just cannot believe this game is coming out this year. Like, I was expecting, like, Insomniac or Sony to announce, like, the sequel to Spider-Man, and it's going to be, like, coming in 2022 or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you just, like, when you text me that, I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, it just feels like it's too good to be true.
It was crazy because they, like, opened the show with that, and then I kept on waiting, like, oh my gosh, it's only going to get crazier for here. And then, like, I kept on watching, and I was like,
I don't care about anything.
I was like, nah, none of this stuff is hitting the stuff. There was one other game that, like, it's by some developers that I really like. It's called Deathloop, and that game looks awesome. But I'm like, nope, Spider-Man, like, that was, like, I honestly, like, I could have gotten away with just watching that and then stopped.
Yeah.
I was just on such a high after that.
It blew up the internet. Like,
yeah.
It's everything, it's everything people were talking about yesterday. Like, that's the only thing that people cared about.
And I tweeted this, and I'm sure you will agree with me. It was the ultimate move for Insomniac to announce a Miles Morales game during the time that we're living in with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
To be like, here is a black lead for a Spider-Man game. Like,
dude, it's so unbelievable.
And I'm like, good on Insomniac, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's such a powerful message. To be like, yeah, here you go. Like,
goosebumps.
It's awesome. I'm so glad that they're doing it, and I just, like, it's crazy to think that it's this soon. I do fear it's going to get delayed because it's like, that's a little too good to be true. I hope it doesn't.
It can't though. It's got to launch with PS. Like, it has to. Dude, I wonder if there's going to be a Spider-Man Miles Morales, like, exclusive PlayStation. Yeah, like how they did with the one that you have, the red one.
That one.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out over here, man. Like, I'm like near tears in my eyes.
Dude,
so
imagine
excited.
the controller though.
I'm dying right now. I'm actually dying right now.
No, don't die. You got to stay alive until then.
I kid you not. Like, I have goosebumps just thinking about this. Like,
it'd be cool because it's like I have the PS4 Pro Spider-Man, and it's like then you had the Miles one. It would be like,
oh my God,
it'd be so cool to just, like, have them next to each other, like little siblings.
I'm freaking out. Freaking out, man.
One thing that I'm curious about is, like I mentioned the characters that'll be in the game, and I'm really excited for what villains and stuff they're going to be. I'm hoping there's a couple of returns from the previous game. I would like to. I would love if, like, Shocker just became, like, this meme where he's just, like, constantly getting busted. Yeah. And he's just like, come on. And also, it would be really cool because, you know, he also has, like, not electric powers, but more so, like, you know, these, like, sonic wave powers. Yeah. One thing that I thought of was Electro. I'm like, okay, that would be an interesting fight if Electro came back.
Oh, man.
And it's like Miles has to kind of figure out how to, or maybe either he would have an advantage or he'd have a disadvantage because he couldn't harm with electricity, but, like, could Electro harm Miles with electricity since he has those powers? I don't know. That would be...
Yeah, I have no idea.
That'd be really cool. Part of me, like, would really love to see randomly see Carnage. Like, I know it's not going to happen because that's such a huge villain. Yeah. But it would be really cool to be like, here's Carnage, and then they kind of segue to be like, okay, where did this guy come from? You know, like, where did this symbiote thing come from? And then that's how they tie into, like, the whole Harry stuff in the sequel. Because I think we're going to get a little bit more of that. Like, if Oscorp is this main villain, like this main antagonist, which I'm almost 100% sure on at this point with the whole aesthetic of Oscorp, Norman Osborn is going to have to be there, or at least his voice is, if he's not going to be, like, maybe in, like, you know, he's out of the country or something, and he's been kind of organizing this from the shadows.
I could see him having a role where he's kind of, like, funding whatever villain is
that was something that they kind of did with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's what they were setting up.
Yeah,
is like when he was funding
and then it's going to be like this, like, thing where, like, Miles beats whoever the actual villain is, and then you just see this, like, end credit scene with Norman. He's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
That's one thing I can't wait for. And also the purple look makes sense given Green Goblin, right? Like, with the purple, like the green and purple. Yeah. Like, that would be a really cool vibe to have. One thing I'm also looking forward to is the collectibles.
Dude,
Like, I don't know why, but like
it's
every
so
little
refreshing.
thing gets so exciting.
You think about your first like playthrough of Spider-Man PS4, and like every backpack you collected, it was like, oh, let's see what this is, kind of thing. Like, I want to read what the information is and everything like that.
Yeah.
Now I literally just like, I don't even collect the backpacks anymore. Like,
I know.
I just play through the like story and don't pay attention to any of that stuff. So it'd be like refreshing to like have things to be excited for. I mean, God, one thing that they do need to do for this game is figure out what they want to do for the actual like crime on the streets, because that is the most repetitive thing that you do in Spider-Man PS4. They need to find some sort of variety with that. Instead of having like 5 thug crimes in each district, and then 5, you know, how they did the Sable crimes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff gets so repetitive. The car chases and everything like that. It's the same thing over and over. And then obviously like kind of like find a way to enhance the side missions, because a lot of those were like really disappointing.
Yeah.
Get rid of Screwball.
Oh,
no
yeah,
more
dude.
of those kind of villains. Like,
I am so done with Screwball.
Yeah.
I hope she does not come
even
back.
like, I even got like sick of Taskmaster too.
Yeah, I could see that. I forgot about his challenges. I remember that. I forgot that I did all of those challenges. God, that some of those were so annoying.
They were. It was like very repetitive too. The drone ones killed me every time.
Yeah, the ones where you have to like go through the hoops and everything. I completely forgot about that, to be honest, because oh man, yeah, that's
the ones where you're going under a bridge, but you accidentally go over it, and now you're like trying to go back around.
Yeah,
that was a pain.
Yeah.
I want to see them fix that stuff.
Yeah, see, like, the thing is I don't think there's going to be as much of that stuff, but I do think there still will be a plentiful amount of content in this game to justify the price and everything.
I want to, because we're playing as a younger Spider-Man now, I want to bring back those vibes of like having a part-time job, and maybe he's trying to balance out school and the job and being Spider-Man.
See, I think this one, I think that's kind of more of a Peter focused thing. I could see him maybe having a job or something like that. But I think that was such an emphasis in PS4. I think since it's in December, I think this is going to him just honestly, like not even joking. It's just going to be him vibing. Like, it's going to be him being like, he's like, I think if PS4 had a lot of, like, I mean, it was a pretty lighthearted game, but like it had its moments. I think this game is going to be like, dude, just have fun, like quite literally, like be yourself, like have and not think about the worries of the world.
I still can see him like doing some stuff, like some work with Feast in the game.
Oh, I'm sure he will, because he's very tied with that.
And Aunt May definitely had like an impact on him.
I know his mom will definitely be in there, no doubt about it.
That's like we've talked about this so many times on previous podcasts, where like the most important, like next to like the actual villain of Spider-Man stories, the next important like conflict or aspect of Spider-Man has always been his relationships with people. Yeah. And although this is a new character, you see that with Miles too, like in Spider-Verse, like his relationships with people matter. And I want to see that with this, whether it be his mom or whoever else pops. And oh my God, dude, do you think they're ever gonna tease like Gwen Stacy?
Ooh, that would be an interesting take, right? Because in the comics with Spider-Gwen, so I remember there was a whole thing of like, okay, well, people thought that Gwen had already died at this point, but he has mentioned nothing about Gwen.
No, it's always been about MJ.
Yeah, and so what I'm thinking is, in this universe, Gwen is Miles' age, not
younger.
Peter's age.
Oh,
a younger, and I think maybe Gwen could be Miles' love interest.
I'm freaking out again.
Which I think would be awesome, because in the comics he ends up dating Spider-Gwen for a while, and then they set up that kind of romantic relationship a little bit in Spider-Verse, but they were like friends, and it's
I think it was not one of the directors, the producers. God, what are their names? Phil Lord, Chris Miller.
Yeah.
I think they like confirmed that there's a romantic like thing going on between them.
Oh,
too.
definitely. I mean, well, obviously with the whole like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the shoulder touch thing. Like, I mean, he's definitely set up. He's like, you know, we're talking right now. Like, we're figuring it out.
Yeah, we're laying down the groundwork.
Yeah, we're laying down the groundwork. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. That was one thing that I was like, will Miles have a love interest in this game too? Because like so that girl on the bridge he like picks up, and I mean I think that's just a random civilian.
For sure.
I don't think that's anybody like specific. But
talk about a surprise though. Like if Gwen does pop up in this game, she's not Spider-Gwen, but just like
just regular.
She's just Gwen Stacy, and she's like, you know, the same age as Miles. That'd be a cool surprise. Like, you know, how they hid Otto Octavius from us. It'd be really cool to see that happen.
Ooh. Oh no!
A Spider-Gwen game, dude. I'm freaking out.
Okay, but that'd be cool. But see, so here's the thing: if Gwen gets introduced, then that means Green Goblin is for sure gonna kill Gwen, and Miles is gonna be devastated.
Oh, I don't want that. That's too soon.
Because like I mean, like I know, like you know, I'm used to it with Peter. It's still really sad. But if it happened to Miles, I don't know why. It would just make me even more sad. Because I'm like,
oh man, yeah.
We must gently hold him, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we must protect Miles at all. Yeah, we must protect Miles at all costs. Yeah, that would be a really, really cool twist to throw in there. Some people have mentioned they're like, okay, Spider-Man's not in this, or Peter isn't in this game because he's in the Avengers game, and I'm like, well, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's a stretch. I don't think Insomniac wants anything to do with with that game. Like, I know they're supportive and stuff like on Twitter. I mean, Insomniac is really supportive of all the game studios, especially the ones that are like tied to PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I've seen like Brian on Twitter like supporting the Avengers game, which does make me think like maybe there is something there.
I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm not super excited for it. There was one thing that I noticed though was so at the beginning of the live stream they showed like all these PlayStation games. They showed Uncharted, God of War, Horizon. They did not show Spider-Man at all. There was not a single clip of Spider-Man. I was like, okay, I'm just waiting to see like with this whole montage of stuff of you know, seeing Kratos and seeing Nathan Drake and Ratchet and Clank and all of these characters. I'm like, surely Spider-Man's gonna like swing, you know? No, there was not Spider-Man in that. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, Spider-Man. There's nothing as Spider-Man this show. And then they immediately like right off the bat were like,
you think they would
Spider-Man
close out the show with that or something?
Right. That seemed like a show ender thing. Like after you get to it, you're like, oh my god. And I've been watching my friends' reactions to it, and like it's the same reaction that I had when the first Spider-Man PS4 trailer came out. And so let me set the stage for that one too, because I just want to talk about it.
Yeah, please do.
So that game was announced in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe 20. Yeah, it was 2016.
Yeah.
That was in like that E3, and I remember that trailer opens and it's just a shot of New York City, and there's a little bit of a voiceover, and nobody knew at the time that like Yuri Lowenthal was Spider-Man or anything, but I saw New York City and I immediately, and I'm watching it, keep in mind, with Caboose. We were watching the live stream together, me and another friend, and that became a tradition for a while, as we would watch the E3 live streams together. And as soon as New York City opened up, I went, Spider-Man, this is Spider-Man. And he was like, wait, really? Is it? And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is Spider-Man. And then the voice came on, and then it's like, it shows the building, like the side of the building, just kind of a shot. And then Spider-Man swings it, and I'm like, oh my God, I called it. I was like, Spider-Man. And so, and I remember, I was like, yo, that suit is so sick. And he was like, what the heck? At first I actually thought the suit was kind of weird. I was like, oh, that suit is like cool, but weird.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and then then it started showing the action and like him like on like jumping on the cars and fighting the demons. I was like, oh my God, he like runs through. That's
the
one thing.
Building. Remember when he runs through the building?
Yeah, did that ever happen?
It never happened.
I was about to say,
it was so cool.
I just remember him running through that coffee shop, and I was like,
yeah.
I thought about that. That never did happen.
Stuff
in the
like
game.
that.
Dude, that'd be cool if they put that in the Miles game.
There is a part like when you're doing the helicopter chase or whatever. There's a part where you do run through a building, but it's definitely not a coffee shop.
It's an office building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like completely empty.
That's one thing I love about the Spider-Man games by Insomniac is the kind of the parkour of it.
Yeah,
like it just feels like it just makes you feel even more acrobatic.
It's very much like their work on Sunset Overdrive definitely helped out with that.
Oh yeah, I remember I was reading that whole article and being like, yeah, when they went from Sunset Overdrive to Spider-Man. What I really want to see is I've been watching a lot of these. I would love to see a documentary of the making of Spider-Man PS4, because they did one for
so much for that.
They did one for God of War. They did one for The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Maybe they did one for Horizon Zero Dawn. So they've done it with a lot of their big games.
Yeah.
The one for God of War was like almost 2 hours. It was called Raising Kratos, and I'm like, oh man, like I want to see the documentary on the development of Spider-Man PS4, like the casting, some of the scenes that they did for the mocap.
Yeah.
Them coming up with the concepts and everything, and I've seen a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but I want like a full like hour documentary of all of that.
I want to see the struggles and
I could see them doing that for maybe like the 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Of it, like in September.
Dude, if they can make that a pre-order bonus or whatever, I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Like pre-order it, get this documentary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of the time they just put those documentaries on YouTube. They're like, or they come with like the next, like they put them in the game at some point, to just make them free. But yeah, that would be.
I don't know. There's so much to be hyped about right now. I think the biggest like thing is like the fact that this is the most unexpected announcement to ever exist. I never would have seen this game coming so soon at that. Yeah. Like I thought for sure like we'd get the sequel, and then we'd get like the sequel, and then there like Miles may be playable a little bit, and then after that maybe Miles will get his own game. Like that's where I thought they were going to go with that. So this was just like a very pleasant surprise. I mean, like, you still get the excitement of PlayStation 5 coming out. We finally got that reveal, which we didn't really talk about that much, but cool looking console.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely future looking. That's
exactly.
For sure.
And then I'm thinking about I'm already thinking about all the freaking Spider-Man Miles Morales merchandise I want to buy.
Of course,
I'm gonna need another hot toy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all that stuff. So I don't know. I hope I just enjoy the game. I mean, there's winter. We've been wanting snow. There's even freaking Christmas trees in the game. Like, it's just going to be everything that I've ever wanted. So.
I'm so hyped just for the photo mode of, like, the snow stuff that I can do.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait. It's gonna be great. And I'm a sucker for photo. I hope they add a little bit more features in there for photo mode. But,
yeah.
Even if it's the same, I'll be happy. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's all I can talk about for this game. I think we have covered all the beats.
I'll find like new things to talk about in future episodes because it's just this is going to become my life for the next 5 months.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I'm
especially when
Reddit and theorizing.
I don't think we're getting anything for the next 2 months though, like which is going to suck.
Definitely not, but I'm just going to sit there and theorize forever. So.
Oh yeah. I'm very excited. My only fear is I'm just worried of if it's only going to be on PS5 and if I'm even going to be able to get it when it comes out. Yeah.
I'll save like $50 every week from now on to get a PlayStation 5.
That's what I thought. I was like, well, if it is exclusive to PS5, Keenan and I will just split the price, and I'll let him play it first, and then when he's done, he can let me borrow the PlayStation 5, and then I can play it.
I'm already thinking like. I was like in my head, I was like, man, there's a chance that Star Wars Celebration might get canceled. I'm like, there's some money saved right there.
That's a good amount of money, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a savings account for this PlayStation. Like I just have to. That's what it comes down to. Save all my tips and everything and put it in there.
The piggy bank, just put money in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm still curious on with Celebration. I told my mom, asking, she's like, anything else on like any updates, and she's been the one kind of coordinating the trip, and I'm like, they have to announce it within the next month.
I honestly don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
this is off topic, but there's been like more spikes of coronavirus. There's like a second wave. It's just there's so much up in the air, and I'm thinking like they're already talking about how like all sporting events aren't gonna have fans and stuff like that. I'm just like, especially California where it's already a hot spot. I just don't think it's gonna happen, which is sad because that was one thing that I really was looking forward to since last
2020
year.
sucks, except Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, we're gonna end the year with like something good.
Yeah.
So.
And I can't wait to have like whenever that happens, having like a spoiler cast episode.
Oh my
and
god!
Just talking about the whole game.
We'll have to get Caboose on that episode.
I would love to have him on. I told him for sure. I was like, let's collab on some Spider-Man stuff because you're like I remember he was the one that he told me a lot of information about Spider-Man PS4 because he had gotten the game early and he was telling me about all these suits and stuff. I was like, oh
God.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I guess that's going to do it for this episode. As always, you can follow us at comicblast_, Twitter, Instagram, me at Tracer8, Twitter, Instagram, at Keenan Creates on Twitter and Instagram. Once again, please send Cole some love on Twitter at The Cosmic Lotus. He's going through a rough time right now, and him and his family need all the love they can get. So just send him some well wishes and some cool General Grievous gifts or something like that, and he'll be good to go. So... yeah, with all that being said, be greater, be yourself. Shazam!